Alright guys, welcome back to some more Aether Raids torture. It's fire season again, so that means Legendary Elise essentially just has free roam over all of your defenses. There's not really anything you can do to completely stop her, but there are a couple of things you might be able to do that can slow her down. So this is the defense that I ran for this season. Basically, it's a double catapult setup. We have the catapult in slot 4, and then we have Duma in slot 3. I actually would have preferred to have those reversed, like actually set it up like this if I could. But the way that I set up my units here and the map that I went with, it was actually better to do it like this. So the idea here is that we've got Brave Ector Deer. He's going to go ahead and turn Duma into our magic save, which was a pretty tricky thing to do because I had to raise this guy's res so high. Otherwise, it would end up being Heimdallr or Hoder who end up getting the support there from Ector Deer. So this is what I had to do to this kid. I had to give him 35 flowers. I had to give him Fortress Def Res and Still Water Seal. And he still barely has enough res. What I should have did was I should have took his weapon off and gave him a different weapon. There might be one of those Dragon Breath weapons that has like the Fury 3, like all stats up 3, and then I would have gave that the res refine. But I wasn't thinking that far ahead when I did this. So all I was trying to do was just get his res higher than Heimdallr's, so I would be able to give him the magic save. And why is it so important that we give him magic save? It's because he doesn't do anything. He literally just sits there, breaks the safety fence, and that's it. Like, that's the extent of his role on this team. So by giving him magic save, we can at least have him jump in to protect Camilla and Elise if he needs to. And the same can be said with Ector Deer. He'll physical save for both of them. We've got a bunch of obstacles in the way there in front of Elise and Camilla. And the idea is very simple. It's that on turn 1, it's going to be really hard to actually get at my offensive units because they're tucked away really tight there. And then with the double catapults, we're going to break your safety fence. And if you don't do anything on turn 1, you're basically screwed. So that's the idea we're going for here. And then Elise, with her 6-range style, she can be able to attack anybody, set up the haze tiles after she does that, and then Camilla will be able to warp in. That's assuming the enemies have some kind of way to negate Camilla's tiles herself. Like if they've got a unit like Hector, for example, that sets up the stone tiles, Elise will attack them and then reset that, and then in comes Camilla to do the rest of the work. Over here, we've got Valley, who's giving miracle support and then close counter and distant counter support to everybody. I gave her the Hardy Bearing Seal and the Sigurd Ring so she could just cover a little bit more ground, but thinking about it a little more, I probably should have just ran Emblem Lucina on this one instead of Valley, because I think Emblem Lucina, if I gave her like Canto Control and then I gave her also the Lin Ring, I feel like she would have been more of a threat because she's got the swap and then she can move again, and after she does that, she'd be able to use Lucina Ring and hit a lot harder. And also giving us the amount of defensive support that she does could be helpful. Although that's not really what we're trying to do here. The goal of this team isn't to make the save units unbreakable. It's just to have them spot tank for my 2 offensive units so they don't get killed. And then we have Hoder, of course. I have to run Hoder because she breaks the fence in the event that Duma and the catapult don't reach it, which is pretty much most of the time given the way this is set up here. Also, I had to give Hoder Life and Death, and I had to give Heimdallr, what's this one called again? Solid Ground, so that we could lower their visible res to a degree where Duma would actually beat them. So, yeah, quite a lot going on here. Let's actually go ahead and take a look at these defense replays and see how people were able to do. Oh, also, before we move on, though, the other thing that you can kind of do to slow down Elise is you can actually run double Fomortis as your save units, like have one be a magic save and then have one be the physical save. Put them in the back line, and then everyone in front is protected by Heimdallr's Foresight Snares, so Elise can't hit them with the style. And if she's aiming at anyone in the back row, and if 2 of them happen to be Fomortis, then if she targets them, she just gets her action ended for no reason, and then Fomortis is going to end actions on the enemy's team if anyone's close by. So that's another thing I've seen people doing to try and keep Elise at bay. And also, I've got the Corin Ring here on Ector Deer, so he sets up the ice tiles and the vine tiles. So another thing you can do against Elise is make it so that the unit that they want to target with the style is not the unit that has the Korin ring. So let's say they were to target Duma with the Elise style. I would still have the Ice tile and the Vine tile protection from the Korin ring in the tiles exactly where I want them. So that's another thing you could do. Just prevent Elise from resetting the terrain, basically. So, yeah, all that being said, she's still damn near unstoppable for defense teams. They can't do anything. So let's take a look at how we did here. Basically, it was all wins, except we had this one loss over here, where we actually lost a little bit of lift. And then over here, we had a loss too, but I actually don't even remember what happened there. We'll take a look when we get to it. So let's start things off here. We got our friend Haran, who took us on. So what do we got here? Alphador, we got Harmonic Lyn. Pretty good unit against Emblem Lucina, of course, because she has built-in feud against armors. So if you've got feud, you basically give the middle finger to Emblem Lucina. Then he's got Grommel. He's got Legendary Elise of his own. He's got a Emblem Edelgard. Good multi-action unit there. And then we have Plumeria. So let's see what goes on here. All right, weird use of Alphador there. Just breaking that one thing and then leaving him over there. I have the Sigurd ring on Valley, so she would have been able to reach him. Although I don't think she would have been able to beat him, though, because we all know Valley, she's not really that crazy offensively. She's okay, but I don't think she'd be able to take on Alphador after he's stolen a boatload of buffs, right? So that would have been one of the possibilities, but what it looks like would have happened here is Elise would have sniped his unit with the style, and then Camilla would have just gone in and took out 2 units. All right, we got Kieran up next. So let's take a look at this one. All right, another Elise, surprise, surprise. Basically the most common unit. We got a Emblem Lyn there. So Elise and Lyn as a combo. And then he's got Baby Camilla. And then he's got the Elm there. And then he's got another Emblem Edelgard and Plumeria. Plumeria was a bonus unit this round, so that's why she's pretty common. All right, I have the real trap over there. I don't really know what to do with the traps on this map. So I just put the trap over there in case someone tried to see if they could tank Valley. But the traps aren't really all that necessary for this. Okay, that was a weird move. So he just warped Camilla over there and then lets her get stuck. Because there's no way for him to get her out of the way here. I guess he could have danced her with Elise's Ice Lock. But yeah, actually, he could have did that, and then he could have warped Camilla to one of the Vane tiles to safety. So it's not like he was completely out of options there. I don't know why he surrendered like that. All right, we got DJ up next. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, so we got a Brave Felix. We got Emblem Edelgard. We got Legendary Shez. Look who it is, Legendary Elise. Never thought I'd see her. All right, then we have also Emblem Lyn, and then we got Alphador. Okay. All right, so he goes in with the Lyn style, and he takes out Heimdallr, which is possible because I don't have physical save in range to protect her. All right, then he sets up his Ice tiles with Elise, which is not going to help him. And it looks like he tried to keep his units out of range, but it's not going to work. First of all, he didn't reset Camilla. So we have Camilla. Oh, actually, he did, I guess. So he did have Korin Ring available somewhere. Who had Korin Ring? Must have been Lyn, right? Yeah, Lyn had Korin Ring. So he negated Camilla's terrain, but then Elise goes ahead and attacks, and she gives Camilla terrain for free. So we're still able to go in and get our KOs there. Very deadly combo there. Elise and Camilla on defenses. All right, I think we can stop there. We don't need to continue. He basically surrenders anyway because he lost the units. Okay, so here's the first loss. Let's take a look at this one. All right, we got a Regan over there. Is that Armor Smasher? Hold on. Okay, no, it's Arena Sword. The weapon she had there for a second looked like Armor Smasher. Would have been pretty funky if she had that. All right, then we have Plumeria. We've got the Mythic Thor. We've got Legendary Elise, as if we'd ever see her again. And then we have the Ilian Hilda, and then we got Baby Camilla. Okay, so he goes in with Elise style on Duma. And then Hoder breaks his fence. Okay. All right, he breaks the little crag over there. Actually, what is this guy going to do here? Okay, oh, he's actually going to player phase. Interesting, okay. After using damn near all of his actions to actually make a pathway to my units. Yeah, there might be a way I could protect the units a little bit more, but doing that would also leave less spaces for Camilla to warp. And if that's the case, I could actually end up blocking Camilla's range, which I don't want to do. So the amount of structures and obstacles I have in the way in front of Elise and Camilla is basically it. Like, I can't actually run anymore. Otherwise, it becomes detrimental after a point. All right, he should have no trouble at all winning. This team is basically a one-trick pony. If we don't break the fence on turn 1, there's not really much else we've got going for us. So it's very much hindered on the fact, or very much bunched up on the fact that we're able to break the fence and then go to town with Camilla and Elise. Any fight where that's not going to happen, we basically lose. I think that... Do we need to watch the whole thing? I mean, we get the picture, right? Like, the rest of my units aren't going to be doing much. He was probably going to save Duma for last and get rid of Ectordeer and Hoder here. And then Duma with his one range ain't doing nothing. So he's going to go ahead and break our pots and everything. All right, yeah, I think we've seen enough. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so we got Rheneas here, if that's how you say that. All right, this time we've got Emblem Micaiah, we got Plumeria, we got Fallen Dimitri, we have Elm, we got Emblem Lyn, and then we got the Emblem Byleth there. Okay, so no legendary Elise, which is rare. Look at the placement of his safety fence, too, by the way. He's got it all the way over there, so there's no way we're going to be able to target that. But what is he actually going to do here? So he's got undefended with Dimitri. And then he also possibly has it mid-turn with Elm. We're not really worried about penalty cleansing on this team because it doesn't matter if you can bypass the saves. We're just trying to YOLO dolo with the Elise Camilla strat. Okay, so turn 1, he doesn't do anything, which he is free to do because he has the fence. Although his fence being over there isn't really protecting his units. Yeah, because it's out of range of his unit. He should have balled his units up in the corner a little better, as opposed to leaving units in range of Camilla there. Because then his fence actually would have did something. But, yeah, it looks like that's more so a case of human error. Like, he just goofed up. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. What's this guy's name? Hannibal? I'm surprised Japanese people know about Hannibal. That's pretty interesting. I guess it's a popular movie, but are Japanese people into, like, American horror movies like Hannibal? All right, so we got Plumeria. We've got, oh, Ashura. That's a rare one. Then we got Regan. We've got the Arena Crom, Emblem Byleth, and then Emblem Edelgard. Okay. So he is going to try to player phase us by the looks of this. But we do have a lot of obstacles in the way. I guess he backed off. Wow. If you're going to do all that, you might as well commit. Because there's nothing you can do now. You already focused too hard on trying to get to my units that now you aren't able to get away. So, yeah, like, you can't second guess yourself. Even if you realize what you're doing is not going to work, you still have to commit. Because once you back off, it's like you've already gone too far in that you can't really pull back anymore. All right, he's still trying to play, though, which is interesting. I don't even waste time. If I lose a unit, I just surrender right on the spot. And somehow Camilla survived a hit there. She wasn't even in range of Valley, but she does have... I have Miracle on her, the special Miracle. So I guess that's how she was able to live. And, of course, we've got Edelgard rings so she can end up popping 2 units for us. All we really need to do is get 2 KOs as well, because Duma being the bonus, I think we lose potentially 39 lift from a full loss. So if we KO 2 units with Camilla, then that's it. We can't lose lift anymore. All right, now would be a good time to surrender, kid. But he's very stubborn. He's still going for it for some reason. And once again, Miracle Camilla actually putting in work there. All right, I mean, we're done. I don't want to see the rest of this. This is a waste of time. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, we have Crobat up next. So this guy, he lost 3 units, but he still fought for the win, which, again, like I said, kind of a pointless endeavor. All right, Legendary Elise snipes my Ectordeer, which is perfectly fine. That's where he's going to reset the tiles, but I don't care. Because we did break his fence there with Hoder. All right, he's kind of just scrambling his units all over the place in weird spots. I actually have no idea what he's going for here. Okay, so he takes out Camilla. She got hit by Undefended with Elise's style, so... All right, let's see what we do here. We do have Valley in range of Alphador, but I'm not sure how that matchup is going to go. Probably not too well for Valley. Yeah, this is why Lucina, having Emblem Lucina instead of Valley, I think would have been better. All right, so we get that hit off, and then we survive with her Miracle Effect, and we actually managed to beat Alphador there. That's interesting. You know, I didn't think Valley would have been able to beat Alphador like that. But either way, I think it still probably would have been just a better idea to have Elise there. Or, not Elise, to have Lucina there. Alright, he's getting pretty walled out by all the stuff we've got. We've got Terrain, we've got Heimdallr's Foresight Snare. So he takes out Heimdallr, and then he's got probably Edelgard Ring on his Alphonse over there. And he's still trying to hit and run here. Oh, that's adorable. He had Ratatoskr come in with the reinforcement slot. Isn't that just precious? Thinking the little squirrel can actually do anything. She's more harmful than helpful, honestly. Like, having her set up the vine tiles is just giving more range for Camilla to warp in. Ratatoskr has got to be the worst OC we ever got. Like, as a unit, she was bad, and then even in the story, I didn't really care much for her. She doesn't do anything. It's not like Regan, who had a pretty good story. Or, like, even Air. I felt like Air had a more interesting story than Ratatoskr. Alright, he's still going for it. I think we've seen enough, though, by this point. We've gotten our KOs already. Poor guy is struggling really hard here. Yeah, we don't need to see the rest of this. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, we got Viridian up next. So we fought Crobat and we fought Viridian. What is this, Pokemon? Alright, we got a Brave Ectordeer. We got Legendary Shez. We got Harmonic Hector. We got Legendary Elise, Emblem Lyn, and then a Thor over there. Right, I'm wondering what his strategy is going for, because he's running all these armored units, but then he's got a... Like, why would you bother with Elise if you're just going to try to bait? You could probably just go ahead and run another support unit then, instead of Elise, if you're going to do that. Okay, so he goes in, he swings on my Elise with his Elise. I think he's going to try to hide from our units here. So he busts out the duo button with Hector there. Gets a dance on Lyn. Okay. Not really sure what all of that was supposed to accomplish. But, yeah, we're going to go ahead and hit one of his units with Elise, set up haste tiles for Camilla, and then in comes Camilla to start taking out units. There we go. Oh, we actually took out Harmonic Hector there. He could be pretty sturdy, depending on the situation. But after being debuffed by Elise and having the tiles and stuff in our favor, probably not the best situation for him. He is a really good unit, though. I wish I actually had him. I should have... When that banner came out, the Harmonic Celica and Hector banner, I probably should have summoned to get him. Because I don't have either of those units, and they're both pretty good. All right, our next opponent. Again, we've got Legendary Elise. What is that, like? We've only seen one team that didn't run her. Even a bait team had her on the team. What does that tell you about Legendary Elise? All right, then we got Emblem Lucina. We got Alphador. We got Plumeria. We got the Duo Valencia. And then we got New Year Valley there. Oh, you know what would be an interesting thing to do also? If you ran New Year Heimdallr on offense, you could potentially Foresight Snare my Elise, so she wouldn't be able to use the style. And then if she does that, then I can't set up the terrain again, and then Camilla would be unable to reach. So the Heimdallr on offense is a little underrated. I don't see her being used that often, but she does really hurt teams like this where it's all about getting a surprise attack. Like right there, he had Alphador steal Foresight Snare. So our baby Camilla just ended her turn without getting to do anything. All right, he takes out baby Camilla with Elise there. Okay. How did he lose a unit here, actually? It seems like he's pretty safe. Oh, he might be putting a little too much fate in Elincia there. Yeah, so we hit Lucina, and then we're going to get a lot of debuffs off with our Elise. And now, I think Hodor or Valley should be able to get the KO. Oh, we go after Lucina instead. Okay. Yeah, let's see how Hodor does against Elincia. So this is with color advantage. Okay, she gets rocked. Might have to give her Arc Rival then, if that's the case. Okay. Alright, so he does play for the win. He did lose a unit, but he's going to continue on. Alright, as this video is already over 20 minutes, we're going to go ahead and cut to the chase and move on. But yeah, very nice display there, with the exception of losing a unit, obviously. Alright, we got Q up next. This guy lost 5 units. So what do we got here? Legendary Elise. Surprise, surprise. Then we got Needhogger. We got Ratatosker. We got Ninja Gulveg, Alphador, and then Plumeria. Running quite a lot of offensive mythic heroes there, huh? I don't think he needs that many. What is he trying to do? Just, like, juice up the HP of his units? It's not really going to help him too much here, though. It's not like he's running a bait setup. Yeah, he's boned. Like, the way that he positioned his units here, he's not going to be able to get away from us. So he has Corin Ring to negate Camilla's haste tiles, but then we're just going to set up... Oh, actually, we didn't. Ooh, interesting. You see what happened there? So Elise wasted her action. Instead of using the style, she went for the dance on Heimdallr with the Byleth Ring. I've been thinking about taking the Byleth Ring off her for this team, actually, because it doesn't really accomplish anything. The whole point is to just dive bomb in with Camilla and get some really cheeky KOs. So we don't really benefit from the Byleth Ring on Elise in this particular case. And in fact, it just hindered us there, where it prevented Elise from using the style. So probably a good idea to take that off next season, if I decide to run the same thing. Hopefully it's not fire season next time, though. What I really wanted to try out was a Lucina Ball and just set up some good tanky armored units. But the moment I saw that it was fire season, it's like, there's no way you can set up a defense with, like, actual attempts at tanking when it's Elise season. Alright, I think we've seen just about enough here. We've already seen all the important parts. We got our KO there. We got more KOs, too. We got up to 5 on that one. Let's spare Q the humiliation. All right, so this one's going to be our last defense replay. So we took a full loss here. We've got the Bunny Erica, who, honestly, like, Bunny Erica is about to get nerfed really bad. First of all, she has a hard time against Lucina's support, because most of it is for the first attack. At least Lucina's ring, right, has the DR on the enemy's first attack. This Erica isn't going for brave attacking or anything like that. She's just a one-shot nuke. So if all of the enemy DR is strongest on the first attack, it's not going to do much for her. And now on the upcoming baby banner, we're going to be getting that new effect that reduces enemy damage to 1 on the first attack. So, like, Erica's not going to be able to do anything against that either. I don't know why they set the meta up to be so unfavorable to her. It's kind of weird if you think, because it's not like she was game-shattering or anything. She was just about in line with all the other stuff we have going on. It's very, very directed nerfing towards Erica, I feel. All right, he doesn't have Legendary Elise, but he does have this bozo. Oh, dude, you see what he did? He got Duma with false start. So we're not going to be able to break his fence. Wow, okay, honestly, I wasn't even considering Elamine to be an option. As we saw, nobody really ran her except this guy. But, yeah, let's take a look at her res here. So she's got 59 base res, and Duma's got 53. Is there any possible way I could have jacked this guy's res up high enough to avoid that? Okay, so like I said earlier, if I gave him a dragon weapon that had the Fury effect or like any visible res buffs, I'm not sure if there is a dragon breath weapon that has that, but I could go for the res refine. That's an extra 4. I could give this guy crystalline water, I guess, which would be a complete waste, but it would give him an extra 2 res. So that right there is 6 extra res. How much does that give us? So 6 plus 53, that would actually put us right in line to tie with the Elamine we see over here. And she is at plus 5, so she's not even plus 10. If she was fully merged up, we wouldn't even be able to get that idea to work either. All right, touche, guy. He actually got me with Elamine. All right, sure. Yeah, so Duma would have been able to break the fence here if he didn't get hit by false start. So that is a bit of an RIP. I got to give him credit, though. It is a good idea to run Elamine this time, because Duma was a bonus unit. And this kind of setup would be potentially one of the more problematic things to deal with. Like, just break the fence right away and then try to get a turn 1 cheeky attack off. So what he's doing here is pretty smart to try to counterplay that. Elamine goes in with Lin Ring there. She failed to take out Duma too, by the way. That's funny. Did you guys see the build that I had on Duma? It's not intended to be able to take anything. Alright, he should be perfectly fine, though. I don't see any way he's going to lose here. Yeah, he goes with the Erica style there. Or not style, but the button. Alright, takes out our Valley there. Valley's ability to just survive any attack, is that really all that valuable? There's ways around it. Like, if you use a unit that neutralizes specials, you can get around it. And also, if you've got a unit that just straight up has a million actions, it's kind of irrelevant. So, yeah, I feel like I should have used Lucina instead of Valley here. All right, and then we get completely wrecked. So there you go, guys. That's basically this round of Aether Raids. Elise was on essentially every single team. So what do we got going on next season? Okay, I can't really tell what season it's going to be, like what the actual seasons are going to be, like if it's going to be Fire season again. But it's not going to be Astra season, so I won't be able to run Duma on defense. That's so dumb, by the way, that they only allow Duma to break fences in Anima season specifically, because otherwise he would have actually had value to run on Dark season if he could still break fences. That's really dumb that they didn't allow him to do that, but back then they cared maybe 1% more about overall game balance than they do now. So it is what it is. And our final score for the season is 21,305. That's just about as good as I can do, considering the merges that I've got on my units. +9 Thor, +6 Elm, and then +4 Plumeria. Impossible for me to get rank 1 even with a perfect season, but it is what it is. So that's going to wrap us up. Let me know what you guys think, and also, what were you able to do against Legendary Elise for this season? Did anyone find a way against her? I don't really think there's a way, but there's things you can do to at least keep her at bay a little bit. So, yeah, this is your boy Tacho signing out. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch y'all again on the flip side.